Welcome to the Deep Dive. You've shared some really interesting material with us today.
That's right.
And our mission, as always, is to really dig in and pull out the key insights for you so you get a solid understanding of what matters. Today, we're looking at the ripple effects from an event at Long Island University back in September 2023. It sounds quite significant.
Yeah, it was. We've got details on when the investor, Ray Dalio, founder of Bridgewater Associates.
And author of Principles, a huge bestseller.
Exactly. He went back to LIU, his alma mater, to speak. And apparently, it really resonated with the students.
It seems like it. The sources really emphasize that Dalio wasn't just giving a polished speech. He talked about his own setbacks,
Right. The stumbles, the breakthroughs.
Yeah, and the sort of fundamental patterns he's seen play out over his whole career. Students mentioned his honesty, how clearly he explained things.
That clarity seems key. So what actually happened as a result? What was the concrete outcome on campus?
Well, the big one was a brand new course they launched in spring 2025. It's called Principles for Life, Work, and Impact.
Okay, and it sounds like it wasn't just a typical, sit and listen lecture course.
Not at all. The material calls it fully immersive, a 14-week thing co-taught by Dean Graciela Fusaro and Dr. Andy Pearson.
Immersive. Okay, so what did that actually involve? More than just reading the books, I assume.
Definitely. They read Principles, of course, and also The Changing World Order, but they were actively testing these ideas.
How so?
Through things like simulations, real-world scenarios, plus dedicated self-reflection time, and this really interesting practical learning piece.
Okay, tell me more about those methods. Simulations sound intriguing.
Yeah, they use some specific tools Dalio developed, like the dot collector.
Ah, the one that helps see how different people view things.
That's the one. And Principles U, which helps you understand your own sort of archetype and strengths based on his work.
Plus, they ran simulations of geopolitical events, making decisions based on these principles. And crucially, students had to write down their own principles.
Writing their own principles, wow. And role-playing, too.
Yeah, role-playing as, CEOs or presidents facing crises, really putting themselves in the hot seat.
That sounds like a powerful way to make it stick. You mentioned a practical component, too. It wasn't just in the classroom.
No, exactly. This is pretty cool. The LIU students actually designed and then delivered 6 workshops based on principles to students at East Meadow High School.
Seriously. College students teaching high schoolers these concepts.
Yep. And it went so well, the high school is now actually adopting the curriculum themselves.
That's amazing. Talk about applying what you learn.
It really is a great example of learning and teaching.
Okay, so for our deep dive today, let's shift focus a bit. Not just the course itself, but the students who went through it.
Right. We want to explore their personal takeaways, their own principles that emerged, and how they're actually, using Dalio's ideas day to day.
Exactly. We've got insights from several different students, right?
Yeah, a really diverse group. It'll be interesting to see the common threads, but also the individual spins they put on these ideas.
Okay, let's start with Farah Al-Hayek. She's a senior accounting and finance major.
That's her. Very involved on campus LIU IQ Consulting, the Investment Fund Accounting Society.
And a core idea for her, straight from Dalio, seems to be this: pain plus reflection equals progress. Facing tough stuff and thinking about it helps you grow.
Absolutely. It's classic Dalio, and Farah really internalized it. Her own quote is, "Failure is only permanent if you stop trying."
That's powerful. She talks about failing a CLF exam, right? And how that hit her confidence.
She does. But then a conversation with a friend got her thinking, really reflecting on why she failed.
And the takeaway wasn't, I'm not smart enough.
Yeah.
It was more about her preparation.
Exactly. She realized her study methods weren't right for that test. And she has this great line, reflection is a tool, not a punishment.
I like that. Shifting from beating yourself up to actually learning something useful.
Right. It's about improvement, not blame. And this links directly to another theme for her, seeing setbacks as signals.
Signals for growth.
Yeah, her quote is, setbacks are signals to adapt and grow. She talks about getting rejected from internships freshman year.
Ouch. That can be discouraging.
For sure. But instead of giving up, she used it as fuel to get more involved on campus.
Ah, so joining those groups like LIU IQ and the Investment Fund.
Exactly. Which then led directly to getting internships later at places like KPMG and Deloitte.
So the setback really did become a catalyst. That makes sense. What else stood out for Farah? Systematic thinking.
Yes, structure. Dalio talks a lot about habits and processes. Farah's version is structure beats stress.
Relatable. especially managing, 21 credits in a 40-hour internship.
Intense, right. She actually used Dalio's 5-step process. Set goals, find problems, diagnose, design a plan, execute.
How did she apply it?
She used it to tackle procrastination, diagnose the root causes, then designed a really detailed time block schedule.
And it helped.
Big time. She said it massively reduced the feeling of being overwhelmed, made her more productive.
A practical application right there.
Mm.
Anything else on Farah? Communication.
Yeah, the material mentions that briefly. Connecting to Dalio's idea of jazz-like collaboration, it notes her strong support system, family and friends.
Okay.
And her 10-year vision isn't just about career success, becoming a CPA in the UAE, but also about maintaining those close family ties, impact on clients and loved ones.
A holistic view. And she's seen as a calm advisor.
Apparently so. Suggests good emotional intelligence, probably honed by all this self-reflection.
Okay, let's move on to Blake Bruner. He's a junior finance major, also involved in the investment fund.
Yep, that's Blake. And like Farah, that pain plus reflection progresses idea really clicked for him, especially in his leadership role with the fund.
How did that play out?
Well, his quote is clarity before action. He mentioned a time his team was really struggling with a stock pitch. Instead of just pushing harder, he stepped back, reflected, and realized the root problem was a lack of strategic alignment. No one was quite on the same page.
The diagnosis step. So what did he do?
He implemented a new framework for how they approached pitches and started doing weekly check-ins just to make sure everyone was aligned strategically.
And that became a core principle for him.
Seems like it. Guides his leadership now. And that experience also led him to another key insight: embracing cognitive diversity.
Dalio's point about people being wired differently.
Exactly. Blake's quote is, everyone thinks differently. The team's communication struggles made him realize you can't assume everyone sees things the way you do.
So now he actively looks for different perspectives.
Yeah, tries to understand where others are coming from, adapts his communication, says it's really improved collaboration.
That's a mature insight. The material also mentions his life arc reflection. 3 big truths he's learned.
Yeah, pretty insightful stuff. First, everyone's path is different. Stop comparing. Second, progress isn't linear. Expect ups and downs.
Good reminders. And the third.
Impact comes from authenticity. Being true to yourself, not trying to be someone you're not.
Very self-aware. And his Principles U assessment, what archetypes came up?
Primary was commander, takes charge, drives results. Secondary were impresario, which suggests being visionary, maybe entrepreneurial.
Okay.
And shaper, which is about that drive to make ideas happen, turn vision into reality.
Interesting combination. Okay, next up is Faith Camerata, digital marketing major, senior, also very involved.
Right. Dean's scholar coordinator, social media strategist. For Faith, a really central theme is living by your principles, values-based leadership.
Aligns with Dalio's definition of principles as guiding truths.
Absolutely. And her quote hits hard: integrity is worth more than comfort.
Wow. What's the story behind that?
She talks about leaving a job she actually loved because of issues with how pay was being handled. It wasn't fair, basically.
That's tough. Standing up for yourself like that.
Yeah, but she emphasized the long-term self-respect she gained was worth the discomfort of leaving. Really sticking to her guns on fairness.
Takes courage. Another theme for her was about focus. Prioritizing.
Yes, very much so. Echoing Dalio's idea that you can't have everything at once. Her quote, focus and balance over constant expansion.
Sounds like she learned that the hard way.
Seems like it. She described a time feeling totally overwhelmed, juggling too many roles, realized the quality was suffering, and so was she.
Been there.
Right. So she learned to set boundaries, consciously choose where to put her energy.
A critical skill. And what about teams? Building connections.
That was big for her, too. Connects to Dalio's idea about leading the mission and the people. Her quote, build strong connections and stay disciplined.
How did that play out?
She managed to graduate in 3 years, even after dealing with an illness. She credits strong relationships with mentors and sheer discipline.
Impressive.
And another quote from her I liked, guide, don't just fix.
Yeah.
Shows a real understanding of leadership as empowerment, not just problem solving.
Delegating, collaborating. Got it. And her 10-year vision. Something about the Olympics.
Yeah, pretty ambitious. Digital media manager for the American Wave 2028 Olympic campaign, then moving into sailing media. Balancing career and family is also key for her.
And she has her own guiding principle formula.
She does. Dreams plus reality plus determination equal a successful life.
Love that. her Principles U assessment.
Also primary commander, interestingly. Secondary archetypes were orchestrator, so good at coordinating complex things.
Okay.
And strategist, indicating that long-term planning ability.
Makes sense given her vision. Okay, let's turn to Aidan Dahman. Sophomore, international relations and diplomacy. Looks like he's involved in a ton of stuff.
He really is. Esports, RA, Dean's Scholar, Model UN, leadership roles all over. For Aidan, a key theme is diagnosing problems honestly before acting. Dalio's root cause idea.
Right, don't just treat symptoms. His quote.
Progress demands honest diagnosis first. He learned this leading a group project that stalled and also with his Model UN team.
What was the initial diagnosis versus the real one?
Initially, he thought the teams just weren't motivated. But after reflection, using that Dalio lens, he realized his own leadership was maybe too rigid, not letting others contribute effectively.
Ooh, looking inward. That's tough, but crucial.
Exactly. It shifted his approach from blaming others to examining his own role first.
Powerful. What about failure? How does he view that?
Very much as a learning opportunity, again echoing Dalio. His, quote, "Failures are data points, not dead ends."
I like that framing. Any specific example?
Yeah, getting a grade that disappointed him, initial reaction, frustration, but then accountability. He realized he'd procrastinated.
Okay.
So what did he do? Developed a more structured work strategy, started journaling regularly to reflect. He even said, systematic reflection builds better outcomes. Kind of like Bridgewater's issue logs, right?
Absolutely. Building that feedback loop. Another theme was clear goals.
Yes, setting specific goals aligned with deeper values, not just vague wishes. His quote, "Define specific goals aligned with higher values."
How did that apply to him?
He initially had broad ideas about finance internships, but then he got specific, set benchmarks, and thought about how it connected to his interest in public policy.
And that clarity helped.
Led to 2 offers that were actually a much better fit for his long-term goals.
Makes sense. Focus brings results. And the last one for Aidan, systems over habits.
Yeah, this is interesting. Inspired by Dalio's design precedes doing, Aidan's take is build systems, not just habits.
What does that mean in practice?
During that intense internship application period, he didn't just rely on willpower to, say, practice interviewing. He built systems, joined specific clubs, scheduled regular mock interviews into his calendar.
So creating structures that support the goal, rather than just hoping for motivation.
Exactly. He realized systems are more reliable than just hoping you feel like doing something.
Smart. His 10-year vision, DC focused.
Yep, Washington, D.C., working where policy, tech, and diplomacy meet. Wants to focus on honest leadership, collaboration, building lasting structures.
Ambitious. Principles U for him.
Primary. Campaigner, often described as enthusiastic, good connector. Secondary. Entertainer, suggesting strong communication. And impresario, again, that visionary entrepreneurial streak.
It really is fascinating how these core ideas get translated so personally by each student.
It really is, and there were many other students in the course, too. We saw similar themes emerge across the board.
Right. Like Jordan Foss also focused on that pain plus reflection cycle, but also building sustainable systems. Daniel Frankenberry emphasized pain plus reflection too, but added relentless preparation, radical truth, and grit.
Yeah, and Faith Fucci highlighted pain plus reflection, embracing reality, self-care, and really understanding that people are wired differently. Henry Gardner took away pain plus reflection, living by principles, and thoughtful decision-making.
Antonio Giuliano, pain plus reflection, accepting reality, system design, being open to feedback. Andreas Glasgow, pain plus reflection, system design again, continuous learning, radical transparency.
Konstantin Karakostas, pain plus reflection, root cause thinking, structure long-term view. Daniel Kiranakis, pain plus reflection, the 5-step process, mindset, purpose before action, open-mindedness. Ray Leach, pain plus reflection, thoughtful decisions, relationships, self-respect, discipline.
Keep going, Marcelo Mexon. Pain plus reflection, intentional growth, patience. Victoria Nazar. Pain plus reflection, adaptability, boundaries, leadership through presence. Lindsay Pelletier. Pain plus reflection, anticipating problems, thoughtful disagreement, prioritization.
Drew Person focused on attitude, effort, focus, plus anticipating problems, reputation, and tackling procrastination. Jack Person, pain plus reflection, anticipating problems, the gap between knowing and doing, thoughtful disagreement. Nadia Siddiqui, pain plus reflection, principles and systems, clear communication.
Rishikesh Shah, pain plus reflection, clarity, structure, communication, loyalty, resilience. Courtney Thomas, persistence, choosing the right people, emotional control. Eva Valentini, Pain plus reflection, embrace reality, radical open-mindedness, adaptability, trust.
And Natalie Verolian, pain plus reflection, thoughtful decision-making, and really embracing differences. So you see that core pain plus reflection theme is almost universal, but then branches out in so many ways.
It's incredible. It really demonstrates the power and maybe the flexibility of these core ideas.
Yeah.
These students aren't just, waiting for life to happen. They're actively trying to shape it.
Right. Using self-reflection, applying these principles quite consciously.
And it shows that this kind of thinking isn't just for CEOs or, people later in their careers. Look at this diverse group of students.
Absolutely. It's a framework anyone can use at any stage.
Yeah. And for you listening, if you're interested in getting knowledge quickly, understanding things deeply, these student stories are like valuable shortcuts, really.
They've done the work of applying these sometimes abstract concepts to real life, and we get to learn from their experiences.
Exactly. So maybe a final thought to leave you with, kind of inspired by this legacy by design idea we saw mentioned. What if, consciously figuring out your own core principles, living by them, and maybe even sharing them? What if that could create ripples?
Ripples beyond just your own life.
Yeah. Could it actually contribute to, a future with more leaders who are clear, humble, purposeful?
It's a provocative thought. Maybe the starting point is just asking yourself, what are my guiding principles?
Right. A powerful place to begin intentionally shaping your own path, your own legacy.